Welcome to GCTV and welcome to the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of London, which is where we are at for the 11th Grand Prix of the year. Which of today's top riders will then go on to win a golden ticket to go on and compete in the Lgct Super Grand Prix, and which of today's riders will go on to make a real charge up the championship standings? Who is in? Who is out? What will the overall championship race look like at the end of tonight's Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix? Well, we will find out over the next couple of hours. London plays host to tonight's Grand Prix. Let's remind you where we are. What a beautiful setting as we get ready for the 11th Lgct Grand Prix of the year, and we get ready to see how today is going to play out. Already we've watched some fantastic show jumping in the Global Champions League, and now it's time for us to shift our attention to the Lgct. Time for us to shift our attention to blue and to go back to London to find out how the Grand Prix is going to shape up. Frederik de Backer, who's been doing a great job already in commentary for the GCL, now shifts his attention to the Lgct as well. Frederik de Backer, talk to me about tonight's Grand Prix. The question we always want to know is who is in, who is out, which of the big names will and will not feature in today's big event?
Well, if you look at the championship, of course, that's what we have to focus on. At the championship, present at the event is nearly the entire top six, except for Derek Kenny. He is fourth in the championship. He's not here, so we have got Christian Amann, we have got Ben Maher, we have got Peter de Vos, we have got Gilles Thomas, we have got Niels Bruinseels. We also have got Ben Maher, and it's Ben Maher who didn't qualify for the Grand Prix. Ben Maher finished 40th in the Grand Prix qualifier, does not go through. He doesn't have his best horses here, doesn't have Explosion, doesn't have Faltic, has got a 9-year-old in the qualifier, didn't come out unharmed, finished 40th, and only the best 35 go through. So that creates a unique situation for a lot of riders in that top 10 of the Grand Prix to make some changes in the championship standings. For example, it's Christian Amann who could very well extend the lead on Peter de Vos and on Ben Maher, because the others, Ben Maher isn't qualified for the Grand Prix. Peter de Vos is in the mix, but he is on Mom Stupide La Roque, and Mom Stupide La Roque, well, she is not that, has got that much competition with him. She has been out with a little bit of an injury and now comes back for the first time here to London. Maybe Gilles Thomas, maybe Niels Bruinseels can benefit from it, but the biggest talk of the moment is that Ben Maher didn't qualify for the Grand Prix, Mark.
All right, so big blow from a championship point of view. I have no doubt that Peter de Vos will be, I want to say celebrating, but this could be a really big moment for Peter de Vos. Frederik, surely, what a chance for him. We spoke earlier on about the Berlin Eagles cashing in on the Stockholm Hearts. Well, this is the chance for Peter de Vos to know that there is no Ben Maher looking over his shoulder. Big day for the Belgium, surely.
Yes, 100%, but it's a little bit double, of course. It can go either way. It can be a big day for Peter de Vos, or for Thomas, or for Max Kuhnen. Let's not forget about Max Kuhnen. He can also capitalize. He is here with Coriolis d'Azil. That's the horse that won the Monaco Grand Prix. But on the other hand, it can also happen that Christian Amann, who has already won 2 Grand Prix this season, he wins a third one, or gets a big points haul here in London and takes a massive lead on Ben Maher, on de Vos and the others, and maybe, who knows, puts the championship into a deciding position, into a deciding lead. That's also something that could happen. I hope not. I hope that Amann keeps some tension and some excitement into that championship, but that is also a possible scenario.
Frederik, we know we love to put the stars by the names. You've watched the qualifiers, you've watched the Global Champions League. Based on form that you have seen this weekend, who then on this list do you think is one we need to look out for London?
Well, Scott Brash didn't ride on a team this weekend. He had in the qualifier, Hello Mr. President, and I thought the horse jumped spectacular. Same can be said, in my opinion, of Maron Zanottelli on VDL Edgar M. There's a few others, but those were two riders that really stood out. There's a remarkable performance of Ömer Karaevli, the Turkish rider who was taken off the team after GCL round 1, then rode a brilliant clear in the qualifier. Will be very late to go, and you never know what he is up to. It can go either way. As you can see, the course walk is already on the way, but it can go either way also with Ömer Karaevli. Maybe he can create a sensation here in London by going clear in the Grand Prix again.
All right, Frederik de Backer, thank you very much. We'll come back to you in a few moments' time. Frederik de Backer on the ground and correctly points out that the course walk is already underway, and today's competitors for the Lgct Grand Prix of London will be doing their course walk and measuring all of their strides, trying to work out how best to tackle this Uliana Vedzani Lgct track that will come. Let's show you the table as it stands from a championship point of view and remind you just how tight things are. And the big news that Frederik de Backer has confirmed is due to a difficult weekend, Ben Maher will not be participating in tonight's Grand Prix. So, no Ben Maher. But Peter de Vos has qualified. Christian Alman has qualified. Max Kuhner has qualified. Christian Kukuk has qualified. So, a handful of top names inside our overall championship riders have now qualified for today's Grand Prix. So, expect it to get tense, expect it to be tight, especially from a championship point of view. The sun has been out all weekend long, and the riders are getting ready for tonight's big event. And we are getting ready for tonight's big event. Now, Ben Maher is standing by for us to have a conversation. We welcome and thank him for joining us on the show. Ben, thank you very much for joining us today on GCTV. Tough weekend for you. I imagine that you would have been very excited to compete in tonight's Grand Prix.
Yeah, of course. Always want to be in the Grand Prix, but we had the World Championships last week and explosions on the short break right now. And I have Ginger Blue over in America, so when I'm riding my great horses, but my number 5 or number 6 horse, I'm more team building here right now than necessarily competing for the championship.
Ben, speaking of the championship, you're still in a very healthy position, still looking very good for the overall title. Of course, still a few events to come. How confident are you that despite this weekend, you can still make a real charge for it?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, I think. I will be in Valkenswaard next week with the same horses, but I don't see a huge difference in form, really, to be honest. They still need rounds. These horses need to be on the truck and they need to be learning. I will come out with a little bit more horsepower in Rome and New York, so I will have a couple of windows where I can kind of put some pressure on the others, but I'm only going to get 1 or 2 chances at this.
And Ben, Grand Prix or not, talk to us about the joy of being back in London and jumping in front of British fans.
Yeah, it's incredible here. Firstly, it's nice not to have to get on a plane this week and travel too far. And as you can see, the backdrop here in the centre of London. For me, I have all my owners, family, everybody here, so and the weather's great, so hopefully everybody enjoys it as much as I do.
Well, Ben Maher, thank you for your time today and good luck with the rest of the building throughout the rest of the season. Ben Maher, as we mentioned, doing a great job building some horses as well as he goes through and continues to look at the rest of his 2022 season. He will not be competing in tonight's Grand Prix, but is still in a very strong position from an overall championship point of view. Now, we have our start list. We are ready for the Grand Prix to get underway in a few moments' time. What about a moment with Henrik van Ackerman? He's been in superb form, competing around the world over the last few weeks. We caught up with him in Team Talk.
Yeah, it was, I mean, we went there with big expectations. And, yeah, you know also how quickly it can go the other way. And then, I mean, it's every 4 years. And for me, the World Championship is absolutely one of the biggest things you can achieve, I think. So I was so happy to not have a rail the last round.
Talk to me about King Edward.
Olympics without a single fault, championships, world championship without a single fault. That's extraterrestrial. I think it has never been done before in the history of show jumping.
It's an amazing horse. It's, I mean, if you count the downs he had on the whole last 2 years, I think you can fit them on your fingers. Yeah. It's an incredible horse. I'm just very glad and privileged to have a horse like this.
And Henrik von Ackermann, who has qualified for tonight's Grand Prix, will be the very last rider to come out on Hollywood. So what a wonderful position for the Swede to be in. What a strong position the Swede finds himself in and could arguably go on to win tonight's Grand Prix. But of course, there are a handful of really, really strong riders that will be coming before him, trying to put pressure on him by getting into the jump-off. Let's not forget that in our previous Grand Prix back in Monaco, Max Kuhner was the big winner, the big star of the night. Let's remind you what took place.
Now a special moment. It is the start of the 2021 Grand Prix winner, Derek Kenny. Here comes the final fence, Derek Kenny, to post the only clear round so far, and he does it! And last year, he beat this man in the jump-off. It's Max Kuhner, and they're going to do it again here. Look at that, Max Kuhner! Derek Kenny's heart rate has not gone up just yet. Here comes now Derek Kenny for the double clear, and Derek Kenny on Volnay de Wanneville sets the time in Monte Carlo, Monaco. And Max Kuhner has smelled blood. Come on, Max, risk it all to the last. You can't get twice, can you? There comes Kuhner for his first ever Lgct Grand Prix win. Max Kuhner, it's good. It's the first time in his career that Max Kuhner wins a Grand Prix on the Longines Global Champions Tour.
Yeah, it was really important for me to catch him this year because, you know, like last year I was in the lead and then he was a bit faster than me. So I really had the ambition to be a bit faster than him, and my horse is not the fastest one, but I could leave a stride like to the last one, and there I made it, I think. Monaco is a very specific place. Of course, it's small and tiny, but Coriolis likes it a lot. He jumped here fantastic from the beginning, and I think he's a little bit flying with the atmosphere. You can feel all the spectators which are very close, and when a horse has such a great mentality for the sport, it gives him the extra wings.
And if you recall, the really strange storyline around their Monaco Grand Prix was how the podium found itself completely replicated from 2021, except with a few changes in position. Now Max Kuhner going on to win in Monaco. Can he go on and make it a second? We will find out. Now, I believe that Ludger Beerbaum is standing by for us, and I wonder, of course, we're talking the Lgct Grand Prix, but whilst I have you on the line, Ludger, I must just ask you about the Berlin Eagles and that sensational performance. You've flown all the way from Riesenbeck to celebrate and support in London. How are you doing this weekend?
Thank you, very, very good. I didn't fly here to celebrate because I didn't know whether there was something to celebrate or not. Just because I think it's a great place to be, even though you don't compete, to watch, and of course to cheer my two colleagues, Christian and Philip, on.
Now, Ludger, you've already won 2 Grand Prix in 2022. I see you wearing a blue shirt. We were hoping you might put on a jumper and go on and compete in the Grand Prix. When will we see you back competing in a Grand Prix?
I will be back in Valkenswaard next week, so that's when you will see me back in action.
All right, and you said that you're here to support your boys. They've been in great form. Do you feel that they will be favorites to go on and get into round 2, into a jump-off? Can they win tonight?
Anything can happen, of course. I don't know if they're favorites, but for sure, when you see the yesterday and today, they had together 4 clear rounds. So I think if the things are going in the right direction, of course they can make it to the jump off, and then anything is possible.
All right, well, Ludger Beerbaum, you will be enjoying from the sidelines, as will we. Already a two-time Lgct Grand Prix winner in 2022, already guaranteed his golden ticket to the Lgct Super Grand Prix later on this year in Prague at the GC playoffs. And now he will be supporting from the sidelines, supporting his German riders. Let's not forget, Philipp Wieshout and Kobe qualifying very, very well. They'll be 26th to come out. So very, very late start for Philipp Wieshout, and he'll be hoping to make the best of that start. Now, we are in London this weekend at the Royal Chelsea, and the veterans make up a huge part of the story behind this weekend. Their importance, their presence in those notable red jumpers. Let's go on and learn a little bit more.
My name is Terry Welsh, and I'm a Chelsea pensioner.
My name is Michael Atkinson, and I'm 82 and nearly two-thirds.
My name's Philip Carr, and I'm an in-pensioner at the Royal Hospital, Chelsea.
I'm a new boy. I've only been a pensioner for 2 months now, but I already feel very much at home.
It's absolutely superb. It doesn't get any better than this place.
Way back in 1690s, Charles II decided that he wanted somewhere to put all his retired soldiers. So he got Sir Christopher Wren, who was the royal architect. He built St Paul's Cathedral, amongst others, to design this wonderful building. And 330 years later, it's still here, and it's still got soldiers living in it. And because it's a heritage building, Grade 1 listed, it's in excellent condition. We all look after it as best we can, because we want it to still be here in another 300 years for all the future generations of soldiers.
We're just here as spectators for the time being, but we will be doing a guard of honour for the prize givings every afternoon.
How important are these events for this ground?
Well, they are important. First of all, it's good for the public because we have extensive grounds here, and it's good that the public can use these grounds for various events such as our day-to-day. But also, obviously, we charge rent for using the land, and that helps to pay for the Chelsea Hospital, because we're not actually government funded, it's a charity, and so we rely, although there is money coming in from donations, we rely a lot on things like the Chelsea Flower Show and horse events and various other things that happen during the year on, which is essentially our front garden.
I served in the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery as part of my full-time army service, so that's where I got my love of horses.
Well, as a young man before I joined the army, I used to ride horses, mostly hacking and not show jumping. And then when I was in the army, I was able to ride horses. I spent some time with cavalry regiments, and of course they like their horses to be ridden, so I volunteered to ride the horses out on the weekend to keep them exercised.
Would you like to take a round?
I would, but I don't think I'm good enough.
They are the real stars of the show, and what a pleasure and privilege it is to be able to be at this venue this weekend for the 11th stage of the Lgct season as we get ready for the best riders of the weekend to compete and participate. Christian Kuckuck, Philipp Wieshout, Henrik von Ackermann, Scott Brash, Christian Ellman, the top in the world, come up next for the Lgct Grand Prix.